What is up, math superstars? In this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, we're talking about how to go from a fraction to a decimal. And so there's two different types of strategies here. The first strategy is that if we recognize that the denominator is a factor of 100, and so you can reference the factor chart that you made. And so here are some steps that you can take. So the first step is that you're going to make equivalent fractions with a denominator of 100. You're going to read that fraction out loud because that's going to be the key to make sure that you have the proper place values. But if you do not, so make sure, emphasize, if the denominator is not a factor of 100, then you need to use long division. And so we're going to give you some examples of each. So here we're given this fraction 4/5, and we have to go from a fraction to a decimal. And so we know that 5 is a factor of 100. And so we're going to go ahead and make this into a fraction out of 100. So we're going to go ahead and notice that 5, using my factor chart, times 20 gives us 100. So whatever I do to the bottom of this, whatever I do to the denominator, I'm going to do to the numerator. So 4 times 20 will give me 80. So the next step says to read this fraction. So I have 80 hundredths. So what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to write out my decimal. So you notice that I have the tenths place and the hundredths place. So if I write 80 hundredths here, so I'm going to put 80, and then my place value is hundredths. So now let's take a look at this example. We have 3/50ths now. We recognize that 50 is one of the factors of 100. So right there I wrote my denominator as 100. So I can go 50 times 2 gives me 100. So whatever I do to the denominator, I need to do also to the numerator. So 3 times 2 will give me 6. And so we need to go ahead and write 6 hundredths as a decimal. So I'm going to write out my decimal. So I'm looking for hundredths place. I have my tenths place. So if I write 6 hundredths, I'm going to put 6 here in the hundredths place. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a 0 in the tenths place. So when I read this number here, this decimal, I have 0, the decimal point is and, 6 hundredths is matching my fraction 6 out of 100. The main error here is to put the 6 in the tenths place. There you have 6 tenths, which is a completely different fraction, so you do not want to fall into that trap. So now you have this fraction 1/8, and so you recognize that 8 is not a factor of 100. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do some good old long division here. So we're going to put 8 on the outside. We're going to put 1 on the inside. 8 cannot go into 1 yet, so I'm going to add the decimal point 0. And I'm going to make sure to bring my decimal point right above here. So 8 goes into 10 one time. So 1 times 8 is 8. So I subtract those. 10 minus 8 is 2. I'm going to add a 0 and bring it down. So 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. And then minus 4. I'm going to bring a 0 down. So 8 goes into 40 5 times evenly. 8 times 5 is 40 with a remainder of 0. So you're going to keep on going until you hit a remainder of 0. And you notice that my decimal now, using long division, 1/8 is 0 and 125 thousandths. So the eighths are good fractions to try to work on memorizing, because you will see these a lot coming up here in fraction to decimal conversions.